common pitfalls that entrepreneurs may face when selling their business would definitely include how much is enough, because timing and the number is absolutely critical to the reasons behind selling your business. And achieving your goals will be driven a lot of the time by the desire for financial independence and having that security to know that if you never earn a penny again in the rest of your life, that the lump sum you receive from that sale will give you the ongoing financial security that you require for your income and expenditure. We can help model and forecast that to predict whether the number you're receiving is the right number and answering how much is enough.
The sooner you start the exit planning process and do it in a very structured manner, not just pay lip service to it, the better off you are having a chance of having a successful process. So, it would definitely be starting at least 18 months before going to market. Some people even think about it in a 3-year time frame if they had to change the business strategically to get the best positioning for the multiple. But just keep the time to get it right before you go to market.
It might be that you as the entrepreneur or the CEO or that you as a management team are ready to sell or ready to create an exit or refinance. But of course it may be that external factors have overtaken where you're at. So it may be that valuations that you've passed up that other shareholders thought were not attractive enough, the market conditions change and suddenly the market's shut for a period, and it does happen. When we sold in 2008, we got the exit away just 6 months before Lehman's, a matter of days before the capital gains tax changed considerably. And then after we sold, I then remember going to a lunch and meeting other business leaders who'd missed that window and then spent another 3 or 4 years building again to get back to where they were 3 or 4 years previously in terms of valuation of their companies. So timing is critical. So having good advisors that can help you be aware of those nuances is very important.
I would always advise people to use the best professional team that you can possibly afford. That adage that people judge you by the friends that you keep, I think is absolutely critical. If you've got cheap advisors, whether they're a legal team or whether they're corporate finance advisors, there's a very good chance that you will come off and be treated badly as a consequence. So get the best professional advice you can possibly afford, but also ensure that you've got particularly a CFO that has been through that process before. Because from our point of view, we had a CFO that came in a couple of years ago that had been through the process twice. I basically gave him the project. And actually the other benefit of doing that is that it also allows your operational team to focus on doing the day job, because actually in going through the sale process, it's very easy to take your eye off the ball, and that's the last thing in the world you want it to do.
So one tip for preparing for sale is all about the finances. So an exit can actually take a little longer than you might expect. These things typically do. And something that was important to us was to ensure that our planning and forecasting was very tied into the way that we do our management accounting on a monthly basis. It seems like quite a technical point, but as your exit process continues, if you're continually updating your models and they're somewhat separate and divorced from your main monthly accounting, it gets very disconnected and hard to maintain. So we really think you want one planning model that goes all the way from monthly into your forward planning, and that's very, very helpful for an extended exit.
I think the principal reason, and we've actually analysed this, why sales processes fail is because the numbers during the process that can take up 6 months don't track against the numbers we've put in an information memorandum. So it's really down to performance. And on one hand, that freaks out the buyer. But on the other hand, also shareholders have seen a price, say for example, 7 times 10 EBITDA, 70 million, it's now making 9. And the buyer wants to reduce the price, but the shareholder's saying, well, hang on a minute, I got 70, I want 70, let's put the process on hold, let's wait till we get back to 10 so I can get the same price. So that's the number one reason why deals fall over. Other reasons, I think, are to do within the due diligence process, where something could come up that hasn't been foreseen, such as, we talked about IP not being 100% owned by the company, a piece of code being owned by someone else outside, things like some of the contracts, some faulty contracts with clients. I even had some which I think you can really go against, where clients have been due diligence and the response hasn't come back exactly how you want it. So all those kind of things can be sorted in a process pre-going to market, and should be.
I've just met a couple of entrepreneurs here who've recently sold their businesses and had conversations about what are you doing next, and actually they're not very clear. So what I help my clients do is appreciate that this is the beginning of the rest of their life for them and their family. So it's as much that personal stuff. And naturally, if you are getting ready for a sale, it is not to be caught by surprise when you sit down with me in a room in negotiating a sale and purchase agreement or some warranties. We would have helped that business with, as part of a wider advisory team, get ready for sale.
Planning for life after exit, it's completely understandable to some degree overlook what you will do with your money after the business sale completes. People don't want to jinx a deal, they don't want to count their chickens before it hatch, and they get so wrapped up concentrating on everything to do with that transaction that actually when they suddenly find there's a big check and a lot more zeros in their bank accounts, knowing exactly what to do with that becomes quite a stressful decision that has to be made subsequently. If you plan early, if you have the right advice in place, and if you look at all the structures available to you to make sure that you do the right thing, then it takes the stress out of it completely, and you can rely on having a plan which meets your long-term vision and goals, and wake up the next day and enjoy your newfound wealth.
I think that there's, to a large extent, nothing can prepare you for the event of an exit from your company. And I'm talking about when it's done, you're gone. Your power base is gone effectively. And I think there can be a terrible sense of anticlimax, and I think that it's hard to prepare for that. I think building a business is a bit like climbing a mountain. You keep going, and slowly the summit reaches, is in sight. But then when you get there, you realise, well, actually there's nothing there, and you've got to go back down again. So I think that taking time, being patient with yourself afterwards, not rushing back into something. And recognising that you as a person have probably changed quite considerably over the period of time that you've been building your company. So be kind to yourself, I think, is what I'd say.